Another day. Today we got some work to do to the Corvette. So, man, I had a very scary encounter yesterday. It was actually terrifying. I was, coming up on a stop sign and everything was good. I went to hit the brakes and the car wouldn't stop. The front brakes locked up, but the pedal went almost all the way to the floor. Front brakes absolutely locked up. Back brakes didn't feel like they did anything. And later when I reviewed the skid marks, the back brakes, back wheels, nothing ever happened. So thankfully, I ended up blowing through a stop sign in a busy intersection. Like, I went literally into traffic straight through it, and I swear to God, it's a miracle I did not get hit. I as much as I tried, like, it just went through the intersection, and at like the last second, I just hit the gas and blew through it. Rather than slowing down in the intersection, I opted to just go fast and get through it. Well, I think this is why. I don't know how well it's coming out on camera here, but this rotor is soaked and this caliper is absolutely soaked. We blew a piston seal in this caliper, and this is no good. So this has got to go. I know I should probably replace the rotor and a bunch of other stuff too, but I'm not messing with all that. We got it up on jack stands. I got the jack under it too. You can see the rear shocks. I believe those are the factory original shocks from 1980. I knew the shocks were no good. We've got a broken e-brake cable right here that maybe we can hook back up and try to fix. I don't know. So yeah, we're going to be putting a new caliper on that, and looks like the front calipers are still original. They say Delco on them. I tried to give it a little bit of a wax. You can see it shined up. I mean, the paint's horrible on this, so you're not going to get too far with it. I found a vacuum leak up here, right about, hold on, where is it? Right there. There was a cap missing on the carburetor, so I put that on, and I bought a new thermostat, because I think this car either, it's one of two things. Either this car doesn't have a thermostat, and that's why the temperature gauge is running cold, or the temperature sensor is defective. I don't know, could be either one, but I'm going to guess that, a lot of people take the thermostats out of these in the summer to keep them running nice and cold, so that's probably what it is. So I bought a factory like 195 thermostat. We've got, you can see the caliper on this side has been replaced, so that's good. The caliper is only $69, so I'm going to go to AutoZone and I'm going to pick up a new caliper for this thing, and I bought a one-man bleeder kit. We're going to hope that the master cylinder is good. There's definitely a possibility the master cylinder is not good, but I mean, it doesn't look that bad inside. It really doesn't. It's got a lot of surface rust on the outside, but inside it actually looks pretty decent. But I mean, there's just there's no way to tell. I bought some brake fluid, some brake clean. We're going to get this thing cleaned up. We're going to put the caliper on it. We're going to bleed the brakes, and then fingers crossed the brakes are actually going to work. And I've actually got a couple people interested in buying this already at $5,500. Oh, one last thing, and then we got to run. I found the T-tops for this. The guy that has them for $100. I can't believe it. It's like cheaper than anybody else anywhere in the country. $100 bill. I'm about to go pick those up right now so that we can. This thing is horrible, man. I mean, you could look. That's not okay. Wind blowing through. I'm daily driving this. I don't know if I told you guys this, but I am actually daily driving this. So the good thing is, though, it's still not leaking any oil. It's not leaking any trans fluid. It's not leaking any coolant. Like, there's no leaks. There's no leaks at all. But God, and I can't wait to get the front end in the air, because we got to bleed the fronts too. I'm willing to bet you money that the front suspension's going to need some work as well, but we'll find out. I can tell you this though, I got the back end up in the air, and I got no play up and down, no play side to side at all on both wheels in the back, so that's good news. We'll check the fronts here in a little bit, but right now we got to go. Oh, it's beautiful. Even with bad paint, it's beautiful. All right, we're back, and already I've busted the knuckle. That means that this car was made for me. I've hit it with some brake clean. I know it's dark, but there we go. We got it cleaned up, got a lot of the oily residue off. We've got the brake line off from the caliper. We got two 15mm bolts right here and right here. They'll pull this caliper off, and I love the way this works. These brake pads literally just pop out. I probably won't be able to show you on this one. This one's jammed in there a little bit, but there's a pin right here. This pin literally slides through here, right through here like this, and holds your brake pads in. I mean, it makes changing brake pads a breeze. So we got to get that out. We got our new caliper right here, and unfortunately, we did buy the T-tops. They're for a 74, and apparently a 74 is not the same. So here's our new, well, it's not new. This is a Delco. This is remanufactured. It's got the bolts. Looks like it's a 2-piece design here, 4-piston. Comes with everything. Slide pin, bolts, all of it. Washers, everything you need right here, ready to go. Let's do this. All right, so we got the old caliper off. Here it is right here. I was wrong about the mounting points. These bolts on the side, I thought is what took it off, but they hold the calipers together. There are bolts down here towards the bottom, a little harder to see. We got our new caliper over here, and literally we're just gonna slide it on, start mounting it together, hook up our line, and then we're gonna do a one-man bleed with a little $8 tool I bought from AutoZone. We're gonna try it out. I was hoping to hook this e-brake back up, but unfortunately it seems like whatever it's supposed to connect to back there is missing, so we're just gonna have to do without the e-brake since it's an automatic, not that big of a deal. Let's get it back together. Let's see if we have brakes. All right, so here's how this one-man bleeder system is supposed to work. You got your little bottle with a little magnet, hang it up above the caliper. This caliper has 2 bleeders, one for each side, so I have to do one at a time. The general rule for at least older cars, you always want to start with the wheel furthest from the master cylinder. That'll be the passenger rear. Next will be the driver rear, then we go to the passenger front, then the driver front. Basically, you just connect this tube up here and we crack this open just a hair. Crack this just a little bit. There we go. Mount it back up here. And then we just hit the brake pedal a few times and the master cylinder is full. You got to keep your eye on the master cylinder fluid level. And you just give it a good pump 3 or 4 times. The brake pedal, that is. In this case, we'll do it a few more times. Yeah, these brakes feel absolutely horrible. And we will keep doing that. Wash, rinse, repeat. Come back here, check for fluid. As of right now, there is none. So we're just going to keep trying until we finally get her done. All right, so I didn't get to film the rest of it, unfortunately. You can see my driveway needs a good cleaning. I ended up having to vacuum bleed the rear brakes. I could not get any pressure to the rear brakes at all. Old school pumping. So we had to go get a like a Mighty Vac or something like that, a little handheld vacuum pump, and we vacuumed it out. That car has excellent brakes now. Excellent brakes. Oh my God, it stops. It doesn't pull when you hit the brakes, nothing. Stops great. John came by today. Got to give a big shout out to John, and he swapped out the tail lights. I know a lot of you have been asking about the those horrible taillights that we swapped from the Harley Davidson on here. John came by and brought me a set of these and put them on for me, so I really want to thank John for that. I appreciate you, man. John also came by and he found out some information on the Corvette for us, the car that everybody seems to hate on the channel today. I know it. God, I can't believe you just waste $5,000 on a Corvette piece of junk American car from the 80s. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, but at the end of the day, it's my money, right? And I had some people saying, oh, he didn't pay down his vet. I sure did. Paid $10,000 down on that sucker. We're almost paid off on it. But anyway, let's get into the specifics, because what I spend my money on, really, that's neither here nor there. The fact is I bought it, it's here, it's also up for sale. So I'll show you this piece of paper here. And what we have is a T1217CLK. That is the engine identifying number. That's at the top left. On the top right is 11J116256. The top right is a partial VIN from the car that the engine originally came out of, and the number/letters on the top left, that is the engine identifier. So what we have here is we have a CLK, which identifies this engine as a 400 cubic inch V8 from a GM B body. Let's see, J is Jonesville from 1971, and the first digit means it's a Chevy. So it's a Chevy 400 from a 1971 B body, 4-door, rear-wheel drive Chevrolet vehicle. So it could be like a Chevy Impala or the Biscan or the Nova. Hell, there's probably some other ones that I'm forgetting out there. John ran several of them down. So we do know, we were able to confirm that this engine is in fact a 400. And we know from the engine being painted orange, it's got a chrome oil pan, it's got a chrome timing chain cover, the valve covers aftermarket, intakes aftermarket, headers aftermarket, distributor coils aftermarket, plug wires and spark plugs are made by Excel. Basically, this car is, it's got a nice little engine in it. So we don't know the specs on the engine. That's the shame. Is all we know is that it's not the 350, and it's not. God, so many people have commented and said, oh, that car is only like 180 horsepower. This is not the engine that came in the car. And even if it was, all of that smog crap that was on it is gone. There's no emissions components on this car at all. We've got headers, long tube headers, straight to open pipes out the side. All right, so that whole thing of 180 horsepower, out the window. The engine stock that came out of this B body would have been around 250 horsepower. Granted, yeah, that's still pretty weak. I agree with you, but that's assuming it's a stock engine. And let's not forget that 250 horsepower, the torque on that thing would have been over 300 foot-pounds of torque. Probably more like 360 to 380 foot-pounds of torque. Let's just call it 350. We'll call it 350 foot-pounds of torque. I did not research that. That's just a guess. You can look it up for yourself. Look up a 400 cubic inch V8 stock from a B body, and you'll see what the torque is on. I'm going to guess around 350. And that's assuming this motor is not modified in any way, shape, or form. It's just been painted and had some pretty little parts put on it. So I think that the fact that it's a 400 is going to help sell it. I really do. I mean, you can mod a 400 just like you can mod a 350. Honestly, if this thing had the factory 350 in it, I would probably pull the motor, stroke it, come out with a 383, and there you go. You got you a nice little fun performance car. But for this car, it's going. We're going to ship it down the road. Now, some of you don't think I can get 55 out of it. Some of you think I wasted some money, and maybe I did. But I guess at the end of the day, we'll have to find out what it sells for. Right now, my goal is to go pick up the one in Wichita, Kansas that I was looking at for $6,500. That's completely stock, all factory, numbers matching, 42,000 original miles on the odometer. Beautiful, beautiful, well cared for car owned by an older gentleman. That's more what I'm looking for. It's got a beautiful body. Everything should be nice and tight and good on it. We just got to do something with that engine. But for now, hey, this is what I got, and I'm not going to complain. It's a fun car to drive. I've been daily driving this Corvette. I'm averaging 9.4 miles a gallon, and let me tell you, I feel like those are pretty good numbers considering I like to hit the throttle a little bit on it. It's a fun car, so love it, hate it, whatever. But let me tell you something. I want to give you a piece of advice, all of you people out there that are hating on the C3 because of its lack of horsepower. That's dumb. That's the stupidest thing I think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard on this channel, is somebody telling me that they hate a car because it has low horsepower. That doesn't make any sense. This is okay, from 60s all the way up into the 80s. This was Corvette. Granted, it got choked out by emissions, All of them did, not just Corvettes, Camaros, Novas, Ford Mustangs. Everything got choked out by emissions. It wasn't just Chevrolet, it wasn't just the Corvette. All of your cars from that era sucked. They really did. They were choking themselves with emissions components. You cannot hate a car like this because it doesn't have enough horsepower. Pull the engine, replace it. Build it yourself. If you can't build one yourself, buy one. You can buy them ready to go from eBay, man. Have it drop shipped straight to your door. Drop the sucker in, and there you go. You've solved your problem with low horsepower. So you can't really hate the Corvette for low horsepower because everything from that generation had low horsepower, and it can all be remedied by just putting another engine in it, or just taking the motor out, taking all the smog crap off, opening it up, let it breathe a little bit better, dropping it back in. Not that big of a deal. That airplane is telling me I gotta go. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video and hating it, loving it, whatever the case may be. It is what it is, because that Corvette is in my yard, it's in my driveway, I own it, for better or worse. We're gonna see if we can sell this thing, and let's see if we find one a little bit better. Until next time, stay safe out there, and I will catch you very, very soon.